I started making beats in 1998. I've been making beats for 22 years. My first piece of equipment was a Yamaha DJX. It was a sampling keyboard with a step sequencer. It was kind of crappy, but it gave me a taste of what I could potentially produce if I had the right equipment. So, copped that 22 years ago, and me and my buddy were just kind of fixated on making freestyle beats and nothing more than that. I didn't know what was going to progress out of that. I didn't have any grand schemes or anything. It was just pretty much for the love and the fun of hip hop. In no particular order, the RZA, of course. The first time I heard Enter the 36 Chambers, it totally changed my perception on what hip hop could be. Whether it was the soul samples in the beats, the gritty drums, or the kung fu samples and dialogue, I just had never heard anything like it. It was kind of like a cinematic soundscape, and it showed me what hip hop could be. And to this day, there's still a lot of, I don't ever try to sound like anybody. There's a lot of influences in my music. Another that comes to mind is the late great Jay Dilla, especially whenever it comes to how I program my drums. I always try to get that swing, that feel, that bop that Dilla had. And also he had an incredible ear for samples. The samples that he chose to flip were so obscure, and he was so ahead of his time with his production tactics. He's one of the best, and like I said, I never try to sound like anybody, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention them as influences in my production style. There's just too many to name, but other guys like Pete Rock, Ninth Wonder, Lord Finesse, Jake One, Alchemist, the list goes on and on. And of course, your job is. What I love about music is I feel like it's the universal language. Regardless of cultural barriers, race, religious affiliation, gender, we all love music. We might not speak the same language, but if we both hear a beat that's rocking, we're both gonna nod our head. And I feel like music can be appreciated by anybody and everybody. It speaks to the soul. Particularly with hip hop, what I love is from the sampling aspect, I can take something that's from a different genre or a different era years and years ago and make it relevant. Kind of reanimate it, manipulate it, and make it hip again. And to me, that's pretty cool. So I found Shingo's Instagram account, and for a while I had been posting beats, and of course I was a big fan since 2004 whenever I first heard him on Samurai Champloo. I was a big fan of his style, his delivery, the stuff he rapped about. I felt like there was a real sincerity to the subject matter, the wordplay, the cadence, just how his voice sounded. I felt like he's a real dope MC. So that being said, I'm a huge fan, and found his Instagram account, cooked up some beats that I thought he might be feeling, fired away, sent it to his inbox. Surprisingly enough, he responded, which was like super exciting, and I was really stoked about that. And he told me to hold on to the beat. I'm like, almost a year went by, and I, was happy that he responded. Started getting a little discouraged. Of course, he's on tour and doing his thing, and he finally hit me back and was like, "Hey, you still got that beat?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And the rest is kind of history. That track ended up becoming Triumphant, the headline track for our album, and I just kept sending him beats, and before I knew it, we had cooked up a really solid album, and a couple other projects. So stay tuned for that. All of them. First comes to mind is Aorta, because we got Nick Kurosawa singing on it, and it's just kind of a really unique track. It's one of the only tracks that we have someone singing on the album. Also Homage, we got our guy Ruben playing some live jazz flute over a really dope East Coast vibe kind of track. Chambara and Back on Track. I mean, I love them all. You know, they're just like my kids. I love them all. I can't pick a favorite.
What does this say?
Do I have any advice for upcoming producers? So read it again.
Do you have any advice for upcoming producers?
My advice to anybody who's making beats right now, or getting into making beats right now, would be to be passionate about what you're doing, to stay true to your craft, to not get discouraged. You will probably have naysayers, haters, people that tell you you're wasting your time or it's a waste of money. And at the end of the day, you can't listen to those people. You have to do what feels right. You have to make what you love and believe in that and stick to your guns. And sooner or later, you know, something good will happen for you. Stay humble, stay hungry. The road is long, but the payoff is worth it in the end. Okay.
Good half.
I guess that's it. People I like to thank. My friends, my family. This dude here. My backup MC.
Hi.
My spell checker, my proofreader. He's always giving me hints and telling me things that he doesn't like about beats and things like that. So he's my ace.